Okay, we will start now. Jai Janendra, everyone. Namo Arihantanam, Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vajrayanam, Namo Dukhi Savisamunam. Mangalam Bhagavan Veero, Mangalam Gautamo Gani. Mangalam Kunda Kundaryo, Jaina Dharma Sumangalam, Sarvamangalam Sarvakalyankarikam Pradhanam Sarvadharmanam, Jainam Jayatu Shasri. तीन भुवन में सब वीतराग विज्ञान का शिव स्वरूप शिव का नमः प्रयोग संहारिके. So in yesterday's class, we did Mangalacharan and understood that in the entire universe, the three worlds, the only thing worthwhile pursuing is Vidrag Vigyanta, and that is the only thing worth relation to, worth paying devotion to. And later we saw that every soul in this universe desires happiness and yet is not able to become happy because he does not know the right path. And to show him the right path, enlighten with a lot of compassion have given this Updesh. And this Updesh, this sermon, they have asked us to listen with full concentration, with a lot of interest, with prasanna chit or with within. And only then this sermon is going to be of immense benefit. And since eternity, the sole cause of our misery is Moha Mahamad or the wrong beliefs, and there were four parts to it: Ekatva, Mamatva, Kartritva, Bhoktritva, which we saw yesterday. And since eternity, because of this, the soul has been wandering in the four states of existence, purposeless, because it has not understood its true self. Now, today we shall begin with the stanza 3. From here, the story of transmigration of this soul in this universe starts. Pandit Daulatram ji is highlighting how in each and every state of existence, without knowing your true self, due to this moha, due to the wrong beliefs, this soul has inferred. So he will start from the one-sensed organism or Nigod, and from there he will move on to the miseries of Tiryansh Gati or the subhuman state of existence, Narak, the suffering in hell, then the suffering in this human birth, and later the suffering in heavens. So he will conclude that all these four states of existence are nothing but realms of suffering. The soul suffering and the reason for suffering, he has already told us, Moha Mahamad Piyo Anadi. Since eternity, because of delusion, he is suffering. He is not suffering because he is in heaven or hell or he has or he has a disease. He is suffering because of delusion. Now, because of this delusion, where he has suffered and what kind of sorrows he has endured, what kind of pain and suffering and gone through. So, as I already mentioned, this is our story. We all have, since time, eternity, been in all these four states of existence. And if currently we do not, make this effort of this, again, we are going to fall back into this endless transmigratory cycle. So we will see stanza 3. तास भ्रमण की है बहु कथा कहूँ कही मुनि यथा. This story of the mundane soul suffering, this story, Tas Brahman, this story of your wandering, of every soul's wandering, is a very long story. Okay. The existence of this mundane soul in this universe and the story of its rebirths is a very, very long, endless story. Okay. Not possible that I can describe it fully. Why can't I describe it fully? Because it is since eternity, right? Since the beginningless time, this soul has continuously been suffering. So the story is very long. I am going to say a little bit. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of your sufferings in the same way the Muniraj has described in the scriptures. Okay? Pe kachu He Muniyatha. The enlightened gurus have described the story of your transmigration in scriptures like Gumatsar and like others. They have told what suffering you have endured in Tiryanj Gati, Narak Gati. And I am going to similarly just share a glimpse with you of your sufferings. Now it starts. Okay. Kal Anant Nigodh. Kal means since infinite time. Kal Anant means since when? Since eternity. Since beginningless time, the soul has existed. And since that time, what is the birthplace of all the? I'm sure some of you must have read it. It is Nigod. Nigod is the most basic or rudimentary form of existence. Like scriptures mention that in the entire Lokakash, entire occupied universe, these souls of Nigod, the Nigodya Jeev, are packed in such a compact way that every single space point, every single Pradesh of Akar has infinite Nigodya Jeev. Us, when we are breathing, when we are walking, we are, encountering so many Nigodya Jeev. There are so many Nigodya Jeev in the root vegetables like onions, potatoes, garlic, such that in a there are infinite times more Jeev than those who have already attained liberation. So the number of Nigodya Jeev, it is like we cannot, possibly fathom. Just to give you a fair idea, it is not even a fair idea. 99.99% of the souls, of the total souls in the universe are in Nigodya. Do you understand? The region where Nigodya Jeev occupy in the entire Lokakash. Even in the Siddhashila, there are Nigodya Jeev. They are there, like the Tras Jeev or souls who have more than one sensory organs. They exist only in the central region of the as the Tras Nadi. But the souls of Nigod, they exist everywhere in Lokakash. So you can imagine how many Nigodya Jeev are there. We all started from Nigod. Okay. So Nigod Manjar, for infinite time, the soul is in Nigod. What is the maximum time one can spend in Nigod? So there is no maximum. There are several, Jeev who have ever come out of Nigod. So once you go to Nigod, when you come out, that exit route, we don't know. Once you become a human, you know that there is a lifespan, right? You will live for, say, 80 years or even less than that. But what about Nigod? Once a soul enters the realm of Nigod, he can stay there for infinite amount of time. Okay, so Kal Anand Nigod Manjar Vikendriya Tandhar. What was there in Nigod? The soul had only one sensory organ. In one body, there are infinite souls packed. They all, take birth together. And the birth and death is like within one pulse or one swashoshwas, 18 times the Nigot soul takes birth and dies. Okay. And the knowledge of this soul, so less, like it is said, Akshar ka anantva bhag. The letter of one, the knowledge of one letter or one Akshar, you divide it by an infinitesimal fraction of that knowledge that Nigodya Jeev possesses. Okay, so knowledge is very less. There are no sensory organs, but moh or mithyatva over there is very much. Kashai are intense. They are suffering from intense pain. Now, the misery of Nigod Jeev cannot be described in words because if we compare with all the souls in the universe, the souls who are suffering the most are those who are existing. Okay, And imagine that more than 99% of the lifespan of every single soul is in Nigur. If we are not going to, complete our journey to liberation, invariably we are going to end up in Nigur. So this is the gravity of the situation. There is no maximum time spent. The dukh is infinite times more than even the souls who are in hell. That suffering is there of the Nigodi achieved. So Kal Anant Nigod Manjar, Beatyo Ekendriya Kandhar. For infinite time you have lived in Nigod, have suffered incessant dukh, and you have had only one there. You have not had any kind of knowledge or any means to even come out of that. Right now, we are all Panchendriya Jeev. We have five sensory organs. We have a mind that can decide what. Hello? Am I not audible? Yeah? Okay, so Rajeshri ji, there is some problem for your side. Okay.
Oh, it's happening with me also. In between, the
In
voice is
between,
breaking.
for a second, it's going every 1 minute. So can you just go in and get?
Yeah. Okay, so I will just change my network.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Kal Anant Nigod Manjar, Vityo Ikendriya Tandhar. If there is any question, please interrupt me. Okay. Read, Priyanka ji. Can you read today? Aditi ji, will you share this, please? I'm hoping you all are having your book with you.
Oh, no book, ma'am. Here, not. We got only Hindi book. We are ordered from Mangaltim.
Make me the code.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so the next stanza 3.
You're
Yeah,
right.
this
This
one.
is correct.
Yeah. So we will just read the blue color part, which is the meaning. And you all can just go through these word-to-word meanings. I have explained almost everything that you can cover for your. Read from the bottom paragraph. Yeah. Who's reading? Yeah, Aditi ji, you can.
The ascetics in bygone literature have depicted many accounts of the sufferings of life and death in the transmigratory circle. I, Pandit Daulatram, will also narrate the same, albeit as a shorter version. The living being has passed an infinite time in the lowest form of life, Nigod, with only one sense organ.
Okay. So now in the next stanza, he continues with the dukh or the suffering of the Nigodriya. So, एक सांस में 8-10 बार. So here Shwas, in some places they have said it is not the breath, it is the pulse. Okay. So in one pulse, the soul takes birth and dies 18 times. 8-10 means 18. Okay. So in one pulse, the soul has already died 18 deaths. Janamyo Mario, Bharyo Dukh Bhar. Okay, so within one pulse, 18 times he has born, died, and due to his birth and death has suffered incessant miseries. Its miseries cannot be described in words, and they are only kevli game. Okay, so the omniscients know that, but there is no way we can describe the misery of this Riyam. Now, Nikasi Bhumi. So from this Nigodriya, the soul also goes into the 5 kinds of bodies. So you might have heard Chhe Kai Ke Jeev, So what are these 6 kinds? So first is the 6 types of bodies in which the soul can take birth. So one is the earth body. Okay. Bhumi means earth body. Jal means water body. Pavak is fire body. Then Pavan is the air body or the Vayu Kai Jeev. And Pratyek Vanaspati means the plant body. So in Nigodh, the Jeev suffered. From there, it also became one of these bodies. Okay, so now this, whatever he has described is not sequential. Okay, it is just depending upon the Jeev's bhav. From Nigodh, he can also directly become a human. But usually he has just described it that these are the places where the soul has taken birth and died. So from there, he came out, he became an earth-bodied being. So we see these mountains for thousands of years. That Prithvi Kai Jeev is there as a mountain in the land, in the earth that we walk on. That is made up of Prithvi Kai Jeev. Okay, so they are one sense organs and they live for many, many years. The second is what? Jal Kai. So we all have heard that every single drop of water has infinite Jeev. So those souls, their body itself is made up of water. Okay, water itself is their body. They are Jal Kai Jeev. Then there is Pavak. Their body is of fire. So, so many times we just light the candle and then we extinguish it. But have you ever realized that there are Jeev that are, generated and they die instantly? The number of times we switch on the gas or do such things, we are causing harm to these Agni-Kai Jeev. Then Pavan Pratyek Vanaspati. Pavan means Vayu. The wind also has these organisms and their body itself is made up of air. The last one is Pratyek Vanaspati. So in Vanaspati Kai or the plant body, there are 2 kinds. There is Sadharan Vanaspati and there is Pratyek Vanaspati. The Sadharan Vanaspati are those, potatoes, onions and all the other kanmul, where in the same body there are infinite Nigodhya Jeev. So they are Sadharan. So he has already described the Sadharan. So here he is saying Pratyek Vanaspati. In Pratyek Vanaspati, one plant has one Jeev. So, for example, something like a bottle gourd or a loki, it is a Pratyek Vanaspati. So, one thing has one Jeev. As compared to a potato, one potato has infinite Jeev. So, Pratyek Vanaspati is an individual plant body type. Now, we will read this meaning. Shashikala ji, can you please read it from the screen?
Yeah, just as it is rare to find a precious jewel, so it is equally as rare for the living being to transgress from the stationary life.
No.
Ah.
No. Aditi ji,
Which
not
one?
this one. The previous one.
Stanza 4,
in the state of the...
in the state of lowest form of... stanza 4, yeah. In the state of the lowest form of life, the soul suffered immensely. In one breathing, he was born and reborn up to 18 times. The soul went through the cycle of birth and death 18 times. When the soul got the opportunity to come out of this, yes, he was born into an earth body, water body, fire body, air body, and then as an individual plant body. All these migrations were in one sensed life.
Yeah. So, in all these bodies, the soul has only one sensory organ. And which one is that? Can anyone tell me? What sense?
Touch,
yes. Sparshanendriya, the sense of touch. So, there is no other knowledge related to anything else. And as and when you will see, when the knowledge is less, the suffering or the dukh is more. So, here in this one sense, Riyam, the knowledge is the least. So the suffering in this realm is the maximum. People feel that, oh, Narak Gati is the worst, but actually Tiryansh Gati, especially Nigodh, is the worst form of existence, and we all have spent the majority of our life over there. So this is, this should really click something that now if we don't do, follow the path of liberation, if we don't get Samyak Darshan, again we are going to fall back into the same cycle. Okay. Now we will see the next one. So this was about the one sensed organ. When the soul was in the one sensed body, what kind of sufferings he has suffered. Now, to come out of this existence of a single sensed organism, it is, how rare. So in the first line, Durlabh lahi jyo chintamani. Chintamani Ratna is a special kind of a gem, a jewel. So people who have a lot of punyodaya or whose rise of merits have come, they get this Chintamani Ratna, and just by wishing, you get whatever you have wished for. You wish for a house, you get it. You wish for whatever is your wish, it comes true. So finding and acquiring this Chintamani gem is so rare. Like, have you all heard of it? Does anybody have it? So it's a very rare thing. Similarly, it is equally rare to become a Tras Jeev from one sensed organism to a multi-sensed, which includes 2 sensed, 3 sensed, 4 sensed, and 5 sensed Jeev. So from Nigod to become an ant, it is as rare as getting a Chintamani. From Nigod becoming an earthworm is as rare as getting a Chintamani. Do you understand? Like, for example, if we see in our, people, like lakhs of students appear for IIT exams, and if how many students actually get through? So just a handful of students in comparison to how many appear. So we say, oh, you are so lucky. This is so rare. Rarer than that is acquiring this kind of Trasparyay or human birth. Human birth is even more rare. Rare is to get Trasparyay, which includes the 2 sense, 3 sense, and 4 sense organism. So because this Trasparyay, it will last, it has an expiry date. It lasts maximum for 2000 sagas, okay, which includes all the bhav. If in this 2000 sagar, the window, the soul does not acquire liberation, again he will go back to Nigod. And as I told you, in Nigod, there is no expiry date. You can stay for infinite amount of time. But this Trasparyay or this multi-sensed state of body is not going to last forever. You get it? So we are having a very, very rare opportunity wherein we are not only Trasjeevs, we are humans. And from humans, where we are in those lucky humans who are getting Upadesh of Jinvani. We have all organs. We have all kinds of punyodaya that we can listen, understand, and absorb the teaching of Jinvani. So this is like, you are at the tip of the iceberg. Of all the Jeev in the universe, if there are few lucky souls, the, counting of you and me in those souls. Because now, this is the rarest of the rare occasion. You might have studied Bodhi Durlabh Bhavata. How rare is it to become a human? Right? It is very rare. So we must definitely be, very alert and very much aware in this human birth to utilize our time in the most optimal way. We must not waste this rare, precious birth which we have got and not waste this opportunity. Otherwise, the doors of Nigod are always open for all the souls. Okay? Durlabh lahi jyo chintamani, as rare as it is to get a wish-fulfilling gem, tyo paryaya lahi trastani. In that comparison, this trasparyay or a multi-sensed state of being is as rare as acquiring a wish-fulfilling gem. Lat, pipil, ali, adi, shari. So lat means a worm. Worms are 2 sensed organism or dve indriya jeev. They have only 2 senses, the sense of touch and which is the other one? The sense of taste. Okay, sparsh, ras. So they have only touch and taste. So they are 2 senses. So all the small worms are 2 indriya. Even those conches and shells, they come in 2 indriya jeev. Pipil. Pipil means an ant. And in this, you count all the 3 sensed organisms. So most of the crawling organisms like ants and makoda and, all those things, they come in the 3 sensed organisms. Ali is a beetle. At some places, they give, it's a bhamra. you understand, a carpenter bee. So they are four-sensed organisms. Three-sensed organisms have touch, then taste, and the third is which one? Can anybody tell me? It's the smelling. Okay,
Smell.
yeah, smell. And the Chaurendriya Jeev have eyes, chakshu.
Eyes.
Okay, yes. So the rarest is Karnendriya, right? That is the last one. These are the souls who can listen to the Upadesh. So you are in that topmost category of souls in the universe. So Lat is two-sensed organisms like worms. Pipili is three-sensed organisms like ant. Ali are four-sensed organisms like beetle or bees. So after in that Traspariyai or in the multi-sensed organisms, this soul became what? He took birth in this worms or ants or became the butterfly and beetle. You can see in the image, he became a caterpillar. And in all these, I mean, do I need to even explain that these souls are miserable? What is the lifespan of these souls? They are in constant fear of being eaten by other things. They don't have a mind. They cannot listen to Upesh. They cannot decide what is right or wrong for them. Like you will be surprised that, there are these, in restaurants and all, we find those UV light spiders that catch those flying insects. So these insects, they can see that inside that there are so many dead flies, and yet they will go towards the light. Why do they do that? Because they don't have a mind. They don't have that rational cognitive ability to decide what is right or wrong. They are seeing that in this lamp, a lot of bees are dying, yet the bee goes into the lamp, touches the fire and dies. So this kind of an ignorant state of being is this 2 to 4 sense beings. They have absolutely no way to understand anything, right? They can't even see their own death. So in these states also, inevitably, the soul has suffered. Lat pipil ali adi sharir, dhar dhar maryo sahi bahupir. So he was, reborn in all these states, in the kinds of insects and in all the 84 lakh yoni. You must have heard in the 84 lakh kinds of bodies. He has born, he has taken those bodies. There is not even a single body which this soul has not acquired in the past. And in every body, because of Mithyattva, because of his wrong beliefs, because of his oneness with the body, he has suffered and he has, been in a very pitiable condition. Yeah. So we will read thing. Rajeshri ji, can you please read it? Aditi ji, can you scroll down?
Just as it's rare to find a precious jewel, so it is equally as rare for the living being to transgress from the stationary life of one sense being to a mobile life of 2 to 4 sense being, such as a worm, 2 sense creature, ant, 3 sense creature, or a beetle, 4 sense creature. Yet again, in all these states, the living being continues to endure sufferings.
Does anybody have any questions so far? Yeah, are we all clear? I'm just moving ahead. If there is anything, you can please stop me. If anybody wants to add anything, can you just tell me, okay?
Yeah, ma'am. I had the 84 lakh yonis means it's not. Is it a body of that jiva's taking or the place of birth it has taken?
Place of
84 lakh.
birth.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
it is the place of birth.
Place of birth.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, ma'am. I have one question. May not be related to this book, but is there any calculation or basis for all this? Do we have some explanation or in any of the scriptures? Just curious.
Related to what? Like how many births? So
Related
if you
to all the numbers they are giving, right? So I'm trying to relate it to any science or maths calculation by which, for example, the 18 times the Nikoda will die.
So you can refer to books like Gomatsar, where all these descriptions, most of them are so in the 10th semester you will also study Gomatsar, and a lot of these things Like in my first class itself, I mentioned that Daulat Ram ji has, captured the essence from a lot of big scriptures like Gomad Sar, Samay Sar, Ashpahud, and a lot of the references you will find in those books. Okay?
It's in Satlak Prithvikaya. We have that thing in Shwetambar. Satlak Prithvikaya, Satlak Apukaya. In that, the 84 lakh is given the full calculation.
Yeah. So in Gomad Sar, this 84 lakh calculation is there. It comes from there.
Which book?
Gomad Sar Karma Kand.
Gomad Sar Jeev Kand. Gomad Sar Jeev Kand. Yeah.
Oh, Jeev Kand.
By Acharya Nemi Chandra. Yes.
Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can we move ahead? Yes. Yeah. Anyone else wants to say anything? Can we just move on? Okay. So now till then, till here we were in the, you can say 1 sense to 4 sense Jeev. Now we are moving to the dukh or the misery of the 5 sensed Jeev. Okay. So now, kabahu panchendriya pashu bhayo. Sometimes you became a pashu or an animal having all the 5 senses. Man bin nipat agyani thayo. Now, in the 5 sensed animals also, there are some animals who have all the 5 sensory organs, but they do not have a mind. Okay, they don't have man. Such animals are known as asangani panchendriya, or the ones without any mind. So, examples of these are some kind of frogs, snakes, and fishes. They have all the 5 sensory organs, but they don't have a brain, which means that they cannot be given any servant. They cannot understand right and wrong. They don't have the capacity to get Samyak Darshan. Till you are Asangani, you are not eligible for getting Samyak Darshan. So, Kabhu Panchendriya Pashubhayos, sometimes even if you got all the 5 senses as an animal, you did not get the mind, and because of which you became Nipat means extreme, Atyant. Agyani means ignorant. So you remained ignorant despite of having the 5 senses, despite of having more knowledge than the previous states, but without the mind, you could not decide or understand what is beneficial to you, what is harmful to you. You could not, make that rational choice of following the true path of Dharma, and that is why you still remained ignorant. Siha dik saini hai crude. Now, if you became Saini means the Sangani Panchendriya or the animals which are having a mind. So the first line was for Asangani Panchendriya, the ones without the mind. Now he's saying even if you became a soul, a Panchendriya Pashu or a 5 sensed animal with a mind, you became somebody like a lion. The predators, the lions, the tiger, cheetah, etc., etc. How are they? They are cruel. They are cruel. They do not have any kind of compassion. So, in these kind of states, what did you do? You got a mind, you got all 5 sensory organs, but due to those natural instincts were cruel. You hurt, you killed other animals, you ate them, and as a result, you bound all the pap karma. In those words also you only did pap, and as a result of which you again went to states like narak or lower forms in Tiryansh. So Sinha Dik, so all these predators like lion, etc., they are seni or they have a mind, but they are cruel. Their basic instinct itself is full cruel. And nibal pashu hati khaye bhur. Nibal means the weak, those who do not have equal strength. They are nirbal, balheen, or without any strength. Pashu, animal. Hati means kill. You killed them, and khaye bhur, you ate them. You ate several such weak animals because of your cruel intention. And as a result, what happened? Again you bound pap, and again you are there in those cycles of transmigrations. Okay, so Jina ji, please read it. Aditi ji, please scroll down. You're on mute, Jina. Yeah.
Okay, so every so often the soul took birth as a five-sensed animal without the power of rational thoughts. In this case, such a soul would be ignorant about his true nature. Even if an opportunity arose to take birth as a five-sensed animal with the power of rational thinking, it may take birth as a wild or cruel beast, such as a lion or a tiger, which kills and eats many weaker animals like deer and rabbits, etc.
Yeah. So first you were in Nigod, after that you became one of those five bodies, earth body, plant body, water body, air body, or a fire body. From there, you became a two-sensed to four-sensed organism. And from there, either you became a five-sensed animal without a mind, and even if you got a mind, you became one of those cruel beasts who would hunt and kill other animals. As a result, you wound pap and you suffered in the transmigratory cycle. Now, there is the other side of the animals. Kabahu aap bhayo balheen. Sometimes you became one of those animals. Aditi ji, please scroll down. You became one of those animals who did not have bal, who are on the weaker category, right? No, no, no. Yeah, no. The seventh one. Yeah. So kabahu aap bhayo balheen. Balheen means what? Weak animals who does not have the strength. So sometimes you took birth as this weaker animals. Sabalani kari khayo atidin. Sabal means what? The stronger ones, those who have bal. So sabalani kari khayo atidin. Atidin means helpless, without any form of defense. Okay. So sometimes you became that weak animal like a deer or a rabbit, and these predators like lions, etc., they ate you and you suffered helplessly, and you actually walked to your own death. So can you imagine the agony of a deer who is being eaten by the animal, right? He does not instantly die. His body slowly it just goes away. So this kind of pain you have suffered in this Tiryansh Gati or the subhuman realm. Then Chedan, Bhedan, Bhuk, Pyas. You know what is Chedna? Chedna means piercing. So we do see the ears of the cows are pierced, or their nose is pierced and the rope is tied to them. The horses are pierced. I mean, so much cruelty we can see with our own eyes. So Chedan means piercing, Bhedan means cutting. We all are aware the animals are eaten, like the goats are cut and all the other animals, pigs, cows, etc. So you suffered from this piercing, from being cut for meat, etc. Bhook pyas. These animals, they suffer from bhook and pyas much more than us. They cannot actually always go and get their food. So there is a lot of hunger and there is a lot of thirst in this Tiryanj Gati. If there is drought in the forest, all the animals, what happens to them? So they are visibly suffering from the thirst and hunger all the time. Bhar Vahan Him Atap Tras. Bhar Vahan means what? These animals have to carry heavy loads, the donkeys and the horses and the bullock cart, etc. So a lot of heavy loads they had to literally carry. Then Him Atap. Him means cold. Atap means heat. So you in the winter and in the summer, where do the animals have shelter? So you have suffered from the cold, from the heat, and have incessantly been miserable. Have you did not have the opportunity to speak up or do anything before all these sufferings. You have just suffered in silence, and you might have cried, but who is here to listen to your agony? So in this way, this soul has suffered with a lot of pain and misery. But if you go to see, the main cause of suffering is not this Chedan Bhedan, is not somebody piercing or cutting you. What is the main reason you have suffered? What is it? Why have you suffered?
You're looking for happiness outside.
Agyanta.
Agyanta, Mithyatva. You have suffered because you did not know that these sufferings are external to me. You did not know that I am myself my source of true happiness, right? So this is the main reason why this soul has suffered so much. Yeah, let us read this. Jinali ji, please read. Yeah, Aditi, roll down.
What you are told that suffering reason.
Occasionally, this living being was born. Sorry.
Yeah. Shashikala ji, the suffering is mithyatva or delusion. My false belief that I am the body is the reason for suffering. You know, no cutting or piercing is suffering. Yeah. Okay. Jinali ji.
Occasionally, this living being was born as a weak animal, such as a deer, rabbit, etc., that might be eaten by a stronger animal. In this form of life, the living being had to face many sufferings due to piercing, cutting, hunger, thirst, carrying loads, cold and heat, etc.
Okay. Yeah. So now in the next stanza, this is the last stanza where we are describing the dukh or the sufferings in Tiryansh Gati or the subhuman state of existence. Okay. So now what he says, he concludes, Vadh bandhan adik dukh ghane. You know, badh means getting killed. Like the cows and all, they are killed, you know, the slaughtered basically. So you are being butchered, you are being slaughtered. Bandhan, you are tied. The entire day a cow is being bound. I mean, its newborn calf is bound to some separate place, the cow is bound separately. So much of suffering the animal goes through. They are crying in agony, but you know, there is nobody to listen to their cries. So, Bad Bandhan Adik. Adik means, you know, you add on to it. There are so many things which we cannot describe over here, but with your own eyes, you can see how these animals are suffering. So, Bad Bandhan Adik Dukh Ghane, like extreme suffering. I mean, we cannot really describe this. This is just a glimpse. There is a lot of suffering. The animal silently suffers a lot. Koti jeevte jat na bhane. Even with 1,000 or million tongues, we cannot describe sufficiently the suffering of those souls in Tiryansh Gati. Right? Even if I try to write an essay, I can write a book, but the suffering is much more than that. Some things you cannot fully describe, but you can estimate the amount of suffering that these souls undergo. And why are we saying this? Because this is our own past history. And God forbid, it might be the future if we are not getting into the right direction again. So the dukh is intense, extreme. It is for a very long period of time. And, you know, if we are not aware right now, this is the place we are going to fall back. Now, from there, Ati Sanklesh Bhav Te Maryu. You understand what is Sanklesh Bhav? That extreme anxiety or that kind of a pain, agony, you know, like with mourning, you die from this Tiryansh Gati. Like if you would have seen some videos, I have seen like cows just before being slaughtered. So they are in a very terrible mental state. So that is Sanklesh Parinam. You know, you are in a very disturbed mental tortured state. So in that Sanklesh Bhav, you die. Now, as a result of dying with these kind of dispositions or these kind of emotions, which are with extreme anxiety, you bind karma, which take you to realms like hell. Okay. So when that soul died with a lot of Sanklesh Parinam or a lot of mental agony, with a lot of torture, it directly fell into Ghor Shwabra Sagar, into the ocean of misery known as hell. Okay, Ghor Shubra Sagar is into this hell life. He directly from here, he went over there. Got it? So now we will describe the suffering in the hell realm. What are the dukh of the souls in Naragati? Let us just read this. Yeah, Priyanka ji, please read. Scroll down. Yeah. Okay, Jenny ji, are you there?
Yeah. As an animal, the soul faces being butchered and bound. The suffering is so intense that it cannot be narrated by millions of tongues. Thus, it dies under extreme torture and falls into the terrible infernal hell that is realm.
Okay. So, from stanza number 3 to 8, we described the suffering in the Tiryanj Gati, or the subhuman state of existence. Now, from 9 to 12, we will see the suffering in hell. I mean, you all must have heard that, Narak is the place of torture. But what exactly is that? A glimpse of it we will see in these stanzas. So, just as soon as the soul lands on the bhumi of Narak, I don't know if you have heard, like a football, it bounces several jojan high and again falls. Again rises, again falls. You understand? So, immediately when it touches that hell ground, so he is writing Taha Bhumi Parsat Dukha Iso. Taha means in that hell, Bhumi means the land or the earth of the hell. Parsat is sparsh, means mere touch of that bhumi or that ground. Dukha iso, the suffering is so much. With a mere touch of the ground of hell, one suffers so much. Bichu sahas dasat tanatiso, as good as 1,000 scorpions stinging you simultaneously, even much more than that. So, the mere touch of the ground in the hell is as bad or even worse than 1,000 scorpions stinging the body all at once. You can see in the image below. Okay. So, the hell being, immediately he falls into the hell, he bounces up and down like a football for hundreds of times, and every time he gets this touch of the hell ground and his body is stung by so much agony, as good as 1,000,000 scorpions stinging him. Taha radh shronit vahini krimi kul kalit deh dahini. So in the hell, there is a river which is known as Vaitarni river, which is full of pus and blood. So this hell being, he touched this ground and his entire body is stinging and paining. So he feels that I should, go into the river and I should ease my dukh. But how is that river? So that river is full of pus and blood and it is all disgusting things. Okay. Radh Shronit Vahini. So Radh means pus and Shronit Vahini means river of blood. Krumi Kul Kalit Deha Dahini. Krimi Kul Kalit means like a swamp of worms. So there are so many worms that are continuously being generated in that river. And as soon as the Narki Jeev goes inside that river, all these worms sting him and instantly his agony is multiplied many-fold. So he's going there for, some peace, for some to cool off. But over there, this pus and blood and the swamp of worms, they increase his pain many folds. Okay, let us read this. Yeah, Jinali ji read it. Subha ji read
In
it.
the okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Subha.
Yeah, yes, in the infernal hell dream, just merely touching the ground causes pain, likened to the sting of thousands of scorpions. The flow of river Vaitarni is full of pus and blood, along with swarms of worms, and all these cause severe burning sensation to the body.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions here? We can go ahead. So from the river, the Narkiji feels that, okay, let me go and, sit below the shade of a tree. So how the trees in Narak are? So Semar Taru Dal Jut Asi Patra. So the trees in Narak are known as saver trees or Semar. In the other books, it is given Semar. So the Semar trees, they have leaves that are as sharp as swords. Okay. So when the Narki Jeev goes below such trees, these leaves fall on his body and they just cut his body. They pierce his body and he feels intense pain because they are as good as swords. So Semar Taru, like the trees of Semar, they have leaves. Asi is sword. Okay. So the patra or the leaves are as sharp as a sword. So asi jyo deha vidare tatra. So asi means like a sword, the body is cut or is pierced or is torn. Okay. Tatra means over there. So in the hell, the trees, they have leaves that are very sharp, and when they fall on the Narkijiv's body, they completely tear or pierce his body, as shown in the image below. Now the souls in Narak, they have a special kind of body known as Vaikriyak Sharir. Now this body, even if it is disintegrated into a million pieces, the soul will not die. What happens is, like the droplets of mercury that come together and it becomes one again, these different parts of the body, they again come together and he becomes one. So until and unless the lifespan of Narak or the Ayushya gets over, one cannot come out of Narak. There is no possibility one can commit suicide or, just end the lifespan over there. Whatever lifespan you have bound, you have to suffer for that much time. Okay, you cannot die in any way. So the body, it becomes into different pieces. Again, those pieces join. Again, those pieces separate. And every time the pain is as much, as good as somebody chopping off your limbs. Okay. So they are facing so much of pain, but have no escape route. They are stuck there till the end of the lifespan. Now we are describing what is the amount of heat and cold in Narak. So you might have heard that there are 7 Naraks or the 7 hells. The first 4 hells are hot. Okay, there is intense heat. Like the lower hells are hotter than the previous one. In the 5th hell, the upper portion is hot, the lower portion is cold, and 6th and 7th hell are cold. Okay. So the first 4.5 have intense heat and the lower ones are intensely cold. Now, what is the intensity? So, Meru praman loh gali jai, aisi sheet ushnata thai. Imagine a lump of iron which is as big as the Sumeru Parvat. The Sumeru Parvat itself is 1 lakh yojan tall. Okay, yojan is approximately 6 kilometers something. So that many lakhs of kilometers, a big lump of iron, if it will go into the hell, Meru Praman Loha Gali Jai means it will melt like a lump of wax. It is so hot that this tall mountain of iron is going to melt like wax. Or in the lower hells, what will happen? There is no heat, but still this lump of iron, it will disintegrate like salt disintegrates in water. You must have understood that, when something is extremely cold, these metals become brittle. They become powdery and they completely disintegrate. So it is so cold in hell that this tall Sumeru Parvat, kind of a mountain made of iron, one of the strongest metals that exist on this earth, it will just become powder like salt. It will vanish into thin air. In the upper hells, it will melt like wax, it will melt like candle. And in the lower hells, it will disintegrate like salt dissolves in water. Any questions still here? Let us read. Aditi Jain. Yeah, please read.
In the infernal realm, there are leaves of the severed tree that have sharp edges like a sword. When they fall on the inhabitants, they pierce through the body. The climate is so intensely hot that a lump of iron as big as Mount Meru can melt just like the wax of a candle, and it is also so cold that the same lump of iron melts away as if the salt into water.
Yeah. So next stanza, we continue with the Dukh in the Narakriya. Til til kare deh ke khand. Til means what? A sesame seed. Til you all know, right? So the body is cut into tiny pieces as small as those sesame seeds known as til. Til til kare deh ke khand, Asur bhidave dusht prachand. So now there are these kind of devs known as Asur Kumar devs. The names are also given Amba and Ambarish kind of devs. They are, very, you can say they have a lot of curiosity, and they want to have fun at the expense of the Narki Jeev. Because of their Avdi Gyan, they know the past, enmity between the two souls. So they go to the Narak till first, second, and third Narak, and they tell those two Jeeves, they remind them, oh, in the last birth, this person had done this fraud to you, this person had cheated on you, this person had, done this to you. So they remind them of these kind of bear, or, they instigate them to take revenge. As a result, these Narki Jeev, already the Narki Jeev have intense degree of passions. They have a lot of anger and a lot of, Maya and Man. So the degree of passions is very high in hell. So when they are instigated, instantly they start fighting, and they do tiny pieces of each other's body, which are as small as the sesame seeds. And as I told you, even after they become til, like small as sesame seeds, these souls do not die. What happens is everything combines again, and again the body becomes one. Again they fight, again the body is disintegrated. So this thing happens over and over again for millions of years. Just imagine. The minimum lifespan in Narak is 10,000 years. So if a soul enters Narak, minimum 10,000 years he suffers there, and the maximum is up to 33 sagar. Like, I don't know if you know what is the map for Sagar. If it comes ahead, I will explain to you. But it is a very, very long span of time. So for this span, the soul is stuck in the Narak realm without any escape route, and all these things keep on happening again and again. Now we will see what is the state of the hunger and thirst in Narak. Sindhu neer te pyas न जाए, तो पण एक न बूंद लहाए. The thirst of this person in Narak is so much that it can drink the water of the entire ocean. Okay, and yet he will not feel satiated, he will not feel fulfilled, and ironically there is not even a drop of water to drink. We already saw how the river is full of pus and blood and, swamp of worms and everything. He can't drink that water, but he suffers from thirst. Now in Devgati also there is no food and water, but over there is no hunger and thirst also. When the souls feel hunger or thirst, their own throat releases amrut, and their hunger or thirst is satisfied. But in Narak, they suffer from hunger and thirst, but they do not get anything to eat or drink. Okay, so let us read this. Chaitanya Prakash ji, do you want to read? Hello. Okay.
Can
so
I
I
ask
think
one
Aditi,
question?
Yeah, please.
So a Samyak Darshan Jeev, if he gets into Nar, so he may not have so much of pain, right?
Okay, so in Narak also, why is the pain? The pain is of Mithyatma. The pain is because of this oneness with my body and the external situations. Samyak Drishti Jeev has already the power of Bhed Vigyan. He has, identified his pure soul. So despite of all these sufferings, he remains, quite distinct from it. So there is a very nice poem written by Daulat Ramji himself, which is known as Chinmurat Drigdhari ki mohe reet lagat hai atapati, bahar naraki krit dukh bhoge antar sukhras ghataghati. Which means that externally you will see him, suffering in the realms of hell, but from within he is drinking the nectar of bliss. And what is that nectar of bliss? It is due to the differentiation between self and non-self. It is of the, Atmanubhuti, or the self-realization. This dukh are for a mundane soul. A Gyani Jeev, who is Mithya Drashti, in the third verse he said, Moh Mahamad Piyo Anadi. So the Mohi Jeev is suffering from this dukh. Those who have known their true self, they don't suffer even in Narak. So in all the seven Narak, there are asankhyat samyak drashti jeev. Okay, so we will come to that towards the end of this. But I will tell you, even in Narak, people can get samyak darshan because you have panchendriya, you have man, and all the jeev who have panchendriya and man, they can do bhed vigyan and they can do atmanubhav or samyak darshan. Okay. Okay. Jinali ji, did that answer your question?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Please read this.
Inhabitants of the infernal life fight and chop the bodies of each other into small pieces. They are incited to fight amongst themselves by wicked and fierce celestial beings known as Asur Kumar. They have extreme thirst, which cannot be quenched by the water of an entire ocean. Despite this, they do not get even one drop of water to drink.
Yeah. So now we go to the 12th stanza, which is the last stanza that describes the sufferings in hell. Teen lok ko anna ju khaye. Now, hypothetically, even if he gets the anna or food that exists in all the three loks, mite na bhook, kana na lahay. His hunger will not be satisfied. Even if he consumes all the food that is available in all the three worlds, his hunger will not be satisfied. That is the intensity of hunger which a Narki Jeev suffers from. And yet, how much does he get? Kana na lahay. Not even one speck of grain he gets. So hunger is so much that he can consume all the food grains in the universe, and yet he does not even get to eat one grain. Ye dukh bahu sagar lo sahe, karam jogte nar bhav sahe. So for how much time does he suffer from these kind of dukh or pains? Bahu sagar. So like I told you, minimum minimum 10,000 years and maximum up to 33 sagars. Okay. So do you know what is the measurement of a sagar? Have you guys already heard about it? Yeah? Anyone?
Yeah, ma'am, that pit,
Yeah.
that calculation.
So, yes. So a pit of diameter 6,000 kilometers and a depth of 6,000 kilometers. So it is a cylindrical pit. In that pit, we fill up the hair of a lamb from Bhog Bhumi, which has very, very fine hair, and it is densely packed such that, there is not even a centimeter of space left. And in every 100 years, you just remove one small hair, and that hair is cut such that, one hair cannot be further cut into two another pieces. So in a 100 years, just remove one hair. Imagine how long will it take to empty this pit. That much time is Vyavhar Palya. Asankhya Vyavhar Palya is one Uddhar Palya. Asankhya Uddhar Palya is one Adha Palya. And 10 Koda Kodi Adha Palya is one Sagaropam. So you can imagine what a long span of time this is. That is one sagar, and this soul suffers like this for 33 sagars, up to 33 sagars. Can you just imagine? And what leads you to Narak? Our, tendency towards the 5 kinds of sins: hinsa, jhoot, chori, kushil, parigraha, eating abhaksh, excessive rag for material possessions. Like a Chakravarti, if he does not take Muni Diksha, if he does not renounce this kingdom, then he will, as a rule, go to the 7th Narak. Okay, so even the Parigraha also leads one to Narak. Bahut Arab and Bahut Parigraha. So a lot of Pap, lot of Hinsa, and a lot of Parigraha, which means a lot of attachment towards possessions, are the roads that take you to Narak. Other things are the 7 vices, Saptavyasan. Right? Saptavyasan, you all know? Yeah? Alcohol and gambling and mass function, meat eating, all of that. So all of these are the direct routes to hell. And after reading this, we must try to make our life full of virtues. We must try to abandon all kinds of things that might be a cause of these sufferings in the future. Okay. Now, e dukh bahu sagar lo sahe, karam jog te nar bhav lahe. So now he is going to talk about the human birth. So by some kind of shubh bhav, like from Narak, one does not go directly to heaven, and one also does not go again in hell. So he will, as a rule, be born either as a Panchendriya Tiryanj, or a Tiryanj with 5 senses and mind, or he will be born as a human. So with some kind of Shubh Bhav, he might get the human birth, is what he's saying. Yeah. So Priyanka ji, read it.
Yes. Even if infernal living beings were given entire food stocks of 3 worlds of the universe, their hunger would not be satisfied, and yet they receive not a grain to eat. Here in this life, the soul has suffered natural and other intense sufferings for very long periods of time. At the end of the infernal life, by fruition of auspicious karma, the soul is born as a human being.
Yeah. So in this Dhaal, I think we are left with only 4 stanzas. Can we complete today by taking some few minutes extra? Yeah, so that in continuity we can finish this. Okay. So now we are talking about the dukh, or the sufferings of the human realm. Okay. We all are humans. We very well know what we have suffered and are still suffering. So I will not go deep into that. But Janani Udar Vasyo Navamas. Janani means mother. Udar is womb. Inside the mother's womb, everybody is born through the same way. So for 9 months, you are confined to that small place. Inside that fluid, you want to move out, but there is no place. You are completely dependent on your mother for all the nutrients. And, it's dark and it's very painful. So that time of 9 months is very painful for the Jeev who is inside. Okay. Angas sakuchate payotras. It is a very small space. So, the child is very much, in what pose the child is. It is so narrow. There is no place to move about. And that is why the soul has suffered a lot. Nikasat jimukh paye ghor, tinko kahat na ave or. During childbirth, it passes through a dark, narrow canal, and there is a lot of uncertainty. So the soul who is coming out, or the child, is suffering a lot, and one cannot describe its suffering. The child himself cannot describe, but that is a lot of pain. And not only the child, the mother also suffers, and we all know there is a lot of danger during this time. Either the child can die, the mother can die. So this kind of dukh, all the souls, even Tirthankars who are taking the last birth, they also live in the womb for 9 months, and they also have to go through this. So all humans suffer from this kind of pain just while entering into Manushya Gati. Okay. Please read, Aditi.
In the human form of life, the living being was confined for 9 months in the womb of the mother, wherein on account of bodily contractions, it had to suffer pains. The intense pains he had to suffer at the time of taking birth is beyond narration.
Right. So he took birth. Now he is describing throughout the life. And is somebody saying something? Okay. So what happens throughout the human life of an ordinary mundane soul? And this is quite evident. We see all around us. Bal pane mein gyan na layo. When you are a child, you are so ignorant. You have no knowledge. You have no, ability to know what is right or wrong. You are so vulnerable. You are so innocent and ignorant. Okay, so bal pane mein gyan na layo. Tarun samay taruni rat rayo. So when you became young, you got involved in all the romantic things and sensory pleasure. So it is not only, related to your spouse. You wanted money, you had ambitions, you are, looking for name, fame, wealth, position, all of those things. So in the youth, when you had a ripe opportunity to understand your soul, you wasted all of that prime time into acquiring material wealth, into, getting involved in sensory pleasures and traveling and getting all branded stuff. So in all that, you did not focus on the main goal of self-realization. Then what happened? So you wasted those prime years of your life And now at the old age, all the energy of your sensory organs, it has gone less. Now you cannot read properly, you can't listen properly, you can't walk properly. So you are dependent on somebody else to take you to mandir, to do swadhyay. So now you are, crying and dying, oh, now I'm helpless. So ardha mrutak sama budhapano. You are half dead when you are old. So kaise roop lakhe apno? How will you know yourself? Do you understand? In this kind of situation, when in childhood you are ignorant, in your youth you are completely focused on external things, and in your old age you are, you are diseased, you are weak, and you have no means to be self-reliant, because whole life you have not tried or made an effort to understand your soul. And now at the end of your life, do you think that you will be able to do this thing? Do you understand what kind of seriousness and sincerity you require here? So in your old age, again, you are going to uh, not be able to fulfill your goal, and your entire human birth, which had come to you after, like, so much of punya, after countless births, has gone waste behind material acquisitions, behind things that actually did not matter, that did not contribute to your spiritual progress, and this whole birth has gone waste. Can you all relate to it? Does this make sense? Yeah? I can't see most of your faces, so I just don't know yeah, if this is sinking or no. Okay? Yeah. So this is how our entire life is going waste, and majority, you can see 99% of people around you are in this cycle. They really don't know what they want and where they are going. But you are the lucky few who have got the secret to the ultimate happiness, and I really sincerely hope that we all make very good use of this and don't fall back into the same old pattern which has been happening since eternity. Okay? Yeah, Priyanka ji, read this.
Balpane
Yeah.
mein in
Aditi?
childhood.
No.
Okay, yes. Okay. During childhood, one did not acquire true knowledge. In youth, one remained engrossed in sensual pleasures with the spouse. In old age, one is almost half dead. How can then one obtain a chance for the realization of one's own true nature?
Okay. So this is about the Dukh of Manushya Gati. Add on to this, there are so many other pains in this human realm also, which you all very well know. That is why he has not elaborated them over here. Okay. Wherever there is the presence of mithyatva or wrong belief, the soul is invariably unhappy. Unhappy because of his desires, unhappy because of all the other things. Now, in the next two stanzas, he describes what happens in Devgati. Shall I finish or should we continue next week? Are you all okay for another 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So, yeah. Now, कभी अकाम निर्जरा करे भवन त्रिक में सुर तन धरे. Sometimes this soul, what he did, akam nirjara. What is akam nirjara? So in the situation where one could have reacted very adversely, this soul exhibited mild passions. Okay, he does not have samyak darshan. He does not have that purity of the soul. But suppose like you do not get food, and instead of reacting adversely, he actually bore it with mild passion. So that kind of bhav is akam nirjara. Okay. So kabhi akam nirjara kare. Now in nirjara you all understand, dissociation of karma. So nirjara is of two kinds. There is bhav nirjara, or the psychic dissociation, which is related to the soul's bhav, and there is dravya nirjara, which is the physical dissociation of karmic matter. You all know this, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So in that Dravya Nirjara, there are two parts. There is Avipak Nirjara and Savipak Nirjara. Savipak Nirjara means the dissociation of karma after bearing fruit. Avipak Nirjara is for the enlightened souls. The karma is not bearing fruit and yet they are getting dissociated. So when the Muniraj is doing dhyan, these karma are getting dissociated. So that is avipak nirjara. Karma goes away before giving the fruit. Okay. Now, akam nirjara is a part of bhav nirjara, or the dispositions of the soul. So bhav nirjara is of two types, sakam nirjara and akam nirjara. So sakam nirjara is jnani, the kind of nirjara that happens to jnani, but this akam nirjara is for agyani. You don't know the true nature of the soul, and yet due to mild passion, you are binding some kind of auspicious karma, and as a result of this auspicious karma, what do you get? Bhavana trik mein sur tan dhare. In Devs also, there are four kind of Devs. You guys have studied this, I'm sure, in Vitra Vigyan or somewhere. So there are Bhavanvasi Devs, or the mansion dwellers. These Bhavanvasi Devs live in the Adholok, or lower realm, just above the first Narak. Then there is Vyantar Dev, or the wanderer. They wander across all the three worlds. Then there is Jyotish Dev, or the stellar beings, which are living on the sun, moon, stars, and all the nakshatras. So they are the Jyotish Dev. And the fourth one is Vaimanik Dev. These are the Dev that live in that 1 to 16 Swarg and above that. Okay. So these are the four kind of Devs. Now Vaimanik Dev is the highest category of Dev. The three lower categories, which is Bhavanvasi Dev, Vyantar Dev, and Jyotish Dev, these are known as Bhavanatrik. Bhavanatrik, the three, the combination of three. So as a result of this Akam Nirjara, you are going to get birth in heaven, but in a lower heaven, a lower category of Dev. Okay. So Bhavanatrik mein Suratan Dhare, a body of Dev. Now in Devgati, you are not suffering like in hell. Okay. But yet you are suffering a lot. Suffering from what? Vishay Chah. You see the pleasures of higher devs, and that jealousy, that kind of thing from within. A person who is jealous is never at peace, right? So you want more, and that desire for more is the thing that is burning you from inside. Davanal is like a wild forest fire. So you all must also have been noticing in your life, if there is some intense desire for anything, you are never at peace. There is always an anxiety or restlessness till you get that thing. So those kinds of desires, these Dev have, and because of that, they are anxious, they are akulit, they are restless, they are jealous, and as we know, the dukh is not because of external things. It is because of your own bhav, of your own ignorance, of your own passions, of your own delusion. So because of this, they are constantly burning inside. They are not happy even in Devgati. And marat vilat karat dukh rayo. So one speciality of souls in Devgati, or in the heaven, is that 6 months before, they know that their lifespan is coming to end. Somebody told you, okay, now in 6 months you are going to die. Just imagine the state of mind. So when they know that all this splendor of heaven is coming to an end, their mandar mala, or the garlands, they start, withering. The strength of their indriya, it becomes less. All their strength, vitalities become lesser. So they know that their lifespan is coming to an end. And because of that, they can also see, because of Abdigan, where they are going next. So sometimes they know that they are going to take birth in Ekendriya Jeev. And because of that, they die with a lot of Sanklesh Bhav, like I mentioned earlier. How do they die? With a lot of high, oh my God, what is going to happen? A lot of anxiety, a lot of pain and agony. And with that agony, they certainly go into the next birth, which is a very low form of existence. Okay. So this is about the Dev which are Mithya Drashti. Samyak Drashti Jeev, they are not dukhi anywhere. That thing we should be clear by now. Okay. So, yeah, let us read it. Shashikala ji, please read stanza 15. Yeah, Aditi ji, please scroll down.
Yeah. As a result of involuntary dissociation of karma, akam nirjara, the living being is now as a celestial being. Here, he could be born as a mansion dwelling. Okay, Bhavanapati. You're wandering, Vyanta, or as a stellar, Jyotishka, celestial living being. In these lives, The living being is burning with a sensual desire like a wildfire. At the time of death, he weeps bitterly and suffers intense agony.
Okay. So now, this is the last stanza of this entire first Dhaal, which says, now even if he becomes the higher category of Dev, Vimanvasi Dev, which are, you can say comparatively their, wealth and the strength is more than others. But what happens is, Samyak Darshan bin Dukh Pai. Even if he becomes a Empyrean being or a Vimanvasi Dev and has a lot of riddhis and strengths and Indranis and Devis and all these things, but he's still unhappy. And why is he unhappy? Because of his wrong belief. Because without Samyak Darshan, without true knowledge of the soul, one can never ever be happy. Can you just scroll down? Yeah. So, Jo Vimanvasi Hu Thai, Samyak Darshan Bin Dukh Pai. Even if he becomes an empyrean being, without the right belief of the soul, he is still going to be unhappy. Tahate Chai Thavartan Dhare Yo Parivartan Pure Kare. So, after his lifespan gets completed from there, even from Vimanvasi Dev, if he is a Mithyadrashti or an ignorant soul, from there he can even become a one-sensed organism. He can take birth as a mountain, as a plant, as a fire being, as that lowest form of life he can go from the highest form. Understand? And in this way, he completes the Paravartan. So there are 5 Paravartans: Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, Bhav, and Bhav. These 5 Paravartans describe the birth and death cycle of the soul in all the realms, in all the time cycles, across all the gatis, all the kind of bhavs. How since eternity we have continuously taken birth and died. Across all the regions of this universe, we have taken birth and died. Across all the gatis, we have taken birth and died. How many times? Infinite times. So this Panch Paravartan is a very big topic. It is there in Bhumatsar. Somebody who is interested, you can refer. So in this way, you started from Ekendriya. Again, you are coming back to Ekendriya. Okay, your cycle in this way goes on and on. From Ekendriya, again, you'll become animal, Narak, Swarg, and and in the end, when your 2000 sagar of Traspariyai lifespan is over, again you are in Nigodh for some Anant Pudgal Paravartan or an infinite amount of time. And this cycle, since when has been happening? It is since beginningless time. This soul was not born on some particular date. You have existed since eternity. And since eternity, these are the sufferings that you have endured. So just imagine from where have you come and how lucky we are at this current position that we have got this true Updesh of Jinwani. So considering this, let us, have a lot of gratitude, a lot of reverence for the opportunity which we have got. In this same scripture, Pandit Daulat Ram ji is going to describe what kind of opportunity we have that we will discuss as the time comes. In a nutshell, in all the 4 gatis, in all the 4 yams, the jeev is dukhi, it is suffering. Whether it goes to heaven, human, hell, interiyanch, everywhere he is suffering. The cause of suffering is not the external situations. It is his own wrong belief or mithyatva bhav, his own kashai, his own desires, his own passions. The soul is dukhi or miserable because of that. And the moment he realizes this cause of suffering, he can eliminate that cause effectively. Okay, let us just read the conclusion. Yeah. Okay, Rajeshri ji, please read.
The living being continues to suffer if born as the Empyrean type of celestial being without the right faith. Falling from there, he is reborn as an immobile organism. Thus, the living being continues the cycle of mundane transmigration.
Okay. Anybody has any questions in this? Everybody has understood? Please read this again. And I have a suggestion which I will insist on YouTube. Several audios of Dhala are available. Okay. I am sure you all must be listening to some kind of Hindi music. If you will listen to these stanzas repeatedly again and again, I am sure the meanings of these words will sink deeper. I know this is an English batch, but you cannot replace the words of Jinwani which the Gyanis have written. So we did the entire first Dhal. Go to YouTube, search for an audio of Dhala and listen to these words and see how much you can, grasp and retain from there, and continue this practice throughout this course, because again, we will have a lot of Hindi gathas coming up in Samay Sarji and other Shastras. So this practice will really be very useful to you, because the words of Gyanis have a different impact on our grasping ability. And, I don't want you all to miss out on that. Okay, anybody has any further questions, or can we wrap up for today? Yeah? Am I going too fast? Is everybody getting what we are doing here?
No, we are good. We are good with it.
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. So we will just end this class with Jinwani Stuti. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है, इसके लिए जिनवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, इसके लिए जिनवाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है। जावाणी के ज्ञान से सुजे लोकालो, सो वाणी मस्तक लो सदा देत लो। बोलो जिनवाणी मात की जय हो। नौबार नमोकार मंत्र, प्लीज डू इट एट होम। जय जिनेन्द्र।
जय धन्यवाद।